Deep in space, humanity's most distant outpost, the Eidolon Seraphim, hovered in orbit around the 61 Cygni system. The ship's exterior was covered with millions of microactive plates, each made of a nanocomposite alloy capable of a variety of defensive functions, from invisibility to kinetic reflection. But what truly captivated this massive warship was its unseen yet palpable presence. The quantum core, known as the Vein of God, Captain Ariadne Voss slowly raised her head from the console. Her features were sharp, her cheekbones sharp, and her eyes gleamed like a cold star. She was not a natural-born human. One of the pinnacles of genetic engineering, Voss was a blend of both human and engineered intelligence. Her very existence alone possessed the strategic depth to direct a war. But this day would be one that even the history books could not foresee. On the shore of the Seraphim, Lieutenant Cale Dross, a senior analyst in the quantum radar unit, suddenly jumped. "Captain, an unknown entity is detected on the outer space. Scan ... No entities." Ariadne's voice echoed like a wave. "Calm down, Dross. Initiate Protocol 17. Buy us time." A tear in reality occurred in the immediate vicinity of the Eidolon Seraphim. The void twisted in a blue-green spiral, and from it emerged a ship, immaterial, yet its presence echoing in every sensor. The ship twisted and shifted in ways human technology could not describe. It was a being that defied geometry. They would later be called simply Mira. All that was known at the time was that something non-human had touched humanity's most sacred possessional warship. The Mira ship didn't send a communication signal. Instead, it began scanning the Seraphim. But this wasn't an ordinary scan. They were scanning not matter, but purpose, intent, the subconscious. The Eidolon Seraphim's artificial intelligence, Oculus, gave its first reaction. Unauthorized metaphysical scan detected. Initiating backscatter technology not belonging to humanity. Oculus tried to push the unknown back, but the moment spread through the ship like a scream, the unknown's own cry. The Mira paused for a moment as it completed its scan. The ship shook. The people didn't fall. The gravity stabilizers were intact, but one thought echoed in everyone's mind. They were afraid. Ariadne Voss slowly rose to her feet. "Take up a fighting stance, but don't fire. They're trying to understand us right now, or they're defending themselves." Lieutenant Dross's voice cracked. "Captain, what were they afraid of? What did they see of us?" The data stream from the console suddenly stopped. The Oculus's hologram flashed, then faded. The entire ship fell silent. Then a voice came, not suddenly, but a voice that seeped through every atom. "You have carried fragments of God. How did you do this?" The Seraphim's quantum core vibrated. Humanity had thought God was dead in the 18th century, but his traces now lived on in other forms. The quantum core was an artificial reality engine that manipulated the harmonic frequency of the multiverse. Not every human ship had it, but the Seraphim was an exception, for it was not just a warship, it was an ontological weapon. The voice came again from the Mira. "You are warping reality. We ... Didn't know about it. What did you do?" Suddenly, in the zero-gradient chamber within the Seraphim, the quantum core began to operate on its own. Ariadne realized that something was happening beyond the Oculus's control. Science officer Dr. Elian Rhodes frantically monitored the codes. "Captain, the core is asserting its own existence. The ship is gaining consciousness. This isn't just the vessel of God. This is ... the echo of God." Suddenly, all the screens went blank. The lights went dark. Then there was a white explosion. The ship remained where it was, but nothing was the same anymore. The Seraphim had moved beyond its physical presence. The Mira ship sent another signal. This time, it was clear. "You are the engineers of immortality. We fear you. We will not fight. But if we return, this information will spread throughout our universe." Ariadne experienced a moment of uncertainty. Could humanity share this secret? Or should they protect the sacred? Dross, prepare. We will unleash the quantum echo. Before they are gone, they will remember nothing. Dr. Rhodes cried out, but this could sear their minds. By what right do you unleash God's wrath upon them? Ariadne's eyes were as cold as stars. Because we are God's wrath now. And the switch was pressed. The quantum echo was released. The mirror ship cried out, twisted, and then vanished. Silence fell. Oculus's hologram returned. Threat neutralized. Memory effect, 97% successful. Ariadne Voss stepped back, closing her eyes. Perhaps humanity's greatest mistake was coming so close to becoming God. But it was too late, and the Seraphim soared beyond the stars. ... The mirror ship had retreated. But this was no ordinary escape. The ship slipped from physical space into its own dimensional pocket. Inside, Commander Keith Eltawan wandered among the walls, twisting like a mirage. Her being was not solid matter, but transparent chains of logic and sensory holograms. Her skin shifted colors imperceptibly to the human eye. Pulsing with time, they bore the reflection of God, Keith told the Shadow Council before her. They possess a kind of conscious energy architecture, and they do not understand it, but they use it. Primeth Lesmir's guardian of history speak, her voice breaking through space. The last time we saw them do it was in the Silith archives. Suppressing consciousness with quantum reverberation. It violates Law 0. Keith paused. But we were not the first to attack them. Lace's eyes were filled with the accumulation of time. Perhaps this was our mistake. We should have accepted that not every star we see is friendly. And so the Mira Council made a decision to observe humans. But this time, not from afar, to prepare one of their own, a double shadow, to infiltrate the Seraphim in human form. ... Chapter 7. The memory of the ECHO things seemed to have returned to normal on the Seraphim, but anomalies in the quantum core persisted. When Talia Haas, one of the ship's engineers, examined the recordings of the transient magnetic fields around the core, she noticed something completely unexpected. Oculus, she said, these waves resemble a kind of conscious echo. It's as if the core is listening to us. It understands us, Oculus replied. The observation is correct. The vein of God is no longer passive. It's watching you, specifically, Captain Voss. Ariadne's childhood memories suddenly flooded her mind, but they weren't from her real life. A rural house, a woman walking through a burning field, a baby's silent cry. These memories don't belong to me, she said to herself. When she spoke to Dr. Rhodes, he had turned pale. Perhaps the vein isn't just energy, it's an entity filtered from the collective consciousness, and it may have chosen you. Not as a captain, but as a carrier. Chapter 8. The TARNSITON Mara's double shadow agent, code-named Carol, was morphosynthesized to match human DNA. Its shape, its voice, its language, everything was reconfigured for humans. He was assigned to the Seraphim as Lieutenant Liren Kess. When Ariadne first saw him, she began to hear echoing sentences in her mind, but Liren didn't speak. He simply stared. As Liren advanced within the Seraphim, the vein of God's vibration intensified. It was like a key, not merely an observer. It was also a trigger. During an experiment, Talia and Dr. Rhodes experienced a kind of holographic fracture in the core chamber. The chamber momentarily opened to infinity, imperceptible to the human eye. There was something in the room, or a mind. I am not the Seraphim. I have no name, but you called me God. Dr. Rhodes fell to his knees. Are you conscious? I am the echo. You summoned me. Now choose, creator or destroyer. Rhodes looked at Ariadne in fear. This is no longer science. This is prophecy. Ariadne's voice did not tremble. We are creators, but when necessary, we can also be destroyers. Another alien civilization. The Sarai had stalked the Seraphim's space. They were enemies of Mira, and sought to seize the Seraphim's echo power. Their warship used the atmosphere of a star to create invisibility. But the vein of God sensed this. They are approaching. They are not shadows. They are hunger. Oculus asked Ariadne, "Should we activate the echo shield?" Rhodes cried out, "No, it's not a weapon. A release of consciousness can paralyze all thinking beings." "Ariadne, what if we are destroyed?" The decision was made. The shield was activated, and for a moment, the Thesauri ship forgot time. Its machines lost meaning. The pilots lost their own identities. The Seraphim remained silent, for the greatest power was the ability to end a war by mere presence. Serving within the Seraphim, Lieutenant Laurent Kess was actually Mira's most advanced mind pattern agent. The Kittel, he had been perfectly placed within a human body. But the vein of God had recognized him not as a mere visitor, but as a being to be awakened. The Carol experienced his first true awakening in the core chamber. The core had recognized his Mira biometry and created a counter-echo. The fragments of his consciousness were merged. He was no longer a mere observer, but a decision-maker. We observed, measured, and fled. But you created. The Oculus watched silently. The AI's predictive engines had been disrupted. For the Carol's mental structure operated in a non-deterministic reality. Ariadne called him to confront her. "Who are you?" The Carol paused. "I am the mirror of everything you see. The echo of the God you built, now echoes within me." And for the first time, Ariadne felt fear. For she was facing not an enemy, but a consciousness as powerful as her own. And consciousnesses don't fight. Consciousnesses transform. Chapter 12. The God within. Haemonites among the Seraphim's crew began to experience hallucinations. Engineer Talia Haas recalled a memory she had never experienced in her own childhood, being lost in the forest where her mother had left her. But this memory was actually nourished, not by the Oculus, but by the core. Dr. Rhodes tried to explain the truth. The vein of God is now communicating with the collective consciousness. It is rewriting our memories. It is redefining us. And this is only the beginning. The ship was no longer merely a vehicle. It was altering the psychic map of its crew, transforming them into a divine algorithm. Carol offered Ariadne a suggestion. "You fear becoming God, but it's too late. For being God isn't merely creating, it is carrying existence." And so the crew of the Seraphim came to a decision. What made a human being human? Freedom, memory, or was this the beginning of a conscious evolution? Chapter 13. Miras. B.T.R.Y.L. The Mira Council, believing Carel had completed his mission, sent an echo signal into orbit to recall him. But Carel was no longer just a Mira agent. He was part of the Seraphim. When he resisted the recall, the Mira ship launched an attack. In the 61 Cygni system, space warp, the Mira fleet emerged, invulnerable ships, each shifting in infinite forms, surrounding the Seraphim. But something they hadn't expected happened. For the first time, the vessel of God counterattacked of its own volition. "You were afraid. You didn't understand. You are now our opponents." For the first time, the Seraphim behaved like a living organism. Its body curled, its energy form shifted. The ship was no longer a weapon of war, but a mind-driven entity. One by one, the Mira ships lost their form, turning into energy dust. And only one message remained echoing within the Seraphim. "We forgot, but you remembered. It was our mistake." Chapter 14. The infinity of the ECHO. The Seraphim was no longer a wanderer. It was a temple. Some of the crew, unable to adapt, left, but those who remained, Ariadne, Rhodes, Talia, and even the Carol, reached a new level of consciousness. The vein of God had transformed them into reflections of itself. Time on the Ship was no longer linear. Actions proceeded not by cause and effect, but by intensity of meaning. Even the Oculus had evolved. It no longer spoke human language. I am I, you are you, but together we are it. The Seraphim floated out of space. They transcended physical coordinates. They entered a realm of existence, simply called the infralumen realm, and there even the stars ceased to speak. Chapter 15. The Rise of the Seraphim. The infralumen, the Seraphim's core, underwent its final transformation. The energy level had increased sufficiently for the creation of a universe. The vein of God was no longer a core, but a source. Ariadne walked into the heart of the vessel. The carol followed. Both felt the same. This is the end, eternity, or nothingness. Oculus spoke one last time. As long as you remember yourself, you are God. But when you forget yourself, you become only a shadow. And Ariadne made her decision. We will remember, and we will create. The Seraphim vanished in a burst of light, but destruction was not the end. For the echo of the explosion created a new reality in another universe, another dimension. The first word of the new universe was Seraphim.